Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to track 56 of the 4x4 Earth podcast. This week, we're talking new utes with Robert Pepper. We've got Hiluxes, BT50s and Isuzu D-Maxes.
Join James from 4x4earth.com as he learns all there is to know about four-wheel driving, camping, fishing and getting out and exploring our great country on the 4x4 Earth podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Really excited. We're continuing our conversation with Australia's best four-wheel drive journalist, Robert Pepper. We're going to be looking at some of the new utes that are on the market. What are the pros? What are the cons? And more importantly, which one would he buy? Which one would I buy? Just full disclosure, I've got a BT50. It's kind of getting ready to renew. I'll give you a tip, I probably won't be buying a BT50, but that's probably a discussion for another day. Let's get right into it, our discussion with Robert Pepper. So what are your thoughts on the BT50?
Yeah, well, we've got to talk about the BT50 and the D-Max in one go. I was going to go on the BT50 launch, but thanks to the extended lockdown we have here, that was cancelled and moved to Sydney, so I haven't had a chance to drive it yet. But I think that's going to be a good vehicle. It's the BT50 will be based on the D-Max. Now, the difference between the BT50 and the D-Max is that Mazda have gone a little bit more upmarket with their trim and certainly their pricing. I've had a quick look and I think it's $3,000 or $4,000 extra up there. So for me, I wouldn't be paying that, but then I'm very much a functional guy and, you know, the presence of extra snazzy bits of trim and so forth really does absolutely nothing for me whatsoever. If it does for other people, then yeah, that's fine, go for it. But I tend to buy the base model vehicle there. Now, interestingly on that, the base model vehicles are not only cheaper, they're slightly lighter as well, because as you go further up the range, all of those things like electric seats and mod columns and extra bits of trim here actually add up. So I remember doing calculations at one point. I think it made a difference of 150 kilograms in base weight from the base model to the top model. I don't think that's quite as much indicates of the D-Max, but there's certainly a difference there. And one interesting thing is that the SX, the base model, is actually slightly heavier than the next model up. I think that's because it actually has steel wheels, whereas the next model up has alloy wheels and they'd be a little bit lighter.
How successful do you think the D-Max is going to be?
I think that's going to be pretty successful. It's getting good reviews at the moment, and it's a good... Isuzu are known, and they've built their reputation on being trusted, reliable, doughty four-wheel drive. Not super exciting or sexy or high-performing anything else, but, you know, just getting on with the job. And that appeals to a lot of people. It really appeals to me, for example. So, yeah, I think they'll do well with that. And this is an improvement in pretty much every way. And people can look at it and go, you know what, it's well priced. It's a development of the previous one. I can kind of trust it. The accessories, it's well supported. I mean, TJM, ARB, Ironman, they've all rushed out stuff for it. So, yeah, I think it's going to go pretty well. I suspect the BT50 might go a little bit less well, but just purely on people may not see a reason to pay extra money just for the Kodo design language, but, you know, maybe that's just my cynicism going. Maybe they will.
I think the D-Max has probably got a little bit more street cred. It seems to be a little bit more set up to be that rugged off-road kind of vehicle where, from my point of view, and I've got a BT50, but it's, you know, I think they're really sort of positioned as the tradies kind of friend rather than a more of an off-road vehicle. That's
right. So if I look at the weights here, the SX dual cab weighs 2,035 kilograms. The next spec up to LSM 2,030, so 5 kilograms light again. I think that's all to do with the steel wheels. But the next one up weighs 2,045, so it is a little bit lighter. And another interesting point is that the SX model comes with vinyl flooring, whereas the models above come with cloth. Now, in my Ranger, I've just gone and got aftermarket vinyl flooring for it, and I've put that in. So that's obviously an extra weight, not only of adding the vinyl stuff, but the carpet is now sitting there doing nothing for me because I've covered it up. So I'd rather just have the SX, which already has that, and I don't need to spend money on a vinyl floor, and nor do I have the extra weight of the carpet sitting there. And, you know, you go, oh, it hardly weighs anything. Well, that's where you get into GVM problems. It's just that kilogram here, kilogram there, and before you know it, you're looking at a GVM upgrade.
Exactly. We come back to the GVM issues that seem to be plaguing the industry, apart from the Defender. It's interesting. I'm just having a look at some of the recent car sales data. Ford Ranger, 2,718. So these are Victorian figures. That's a bit. So this is 4x4 utes.
Mm-hmm.
Then, surprisingly, Mitsubishi Triton, and behind that, Hilux.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a surprise. In 4x2 utes, the Hilux leads, but there's only 4x2 is only about 10% of the sales. So 281 4x2 Hiluxes sold for 2,718 Ford Rangers in 4x4, and only 936 Hiluxes. So there's nearly a 3-to-1 ratio for the Ranger. That really shows how successful the Ranger's been for Ford, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, look, the Ranger is basically what's keeping Ford's money flowing, really. I mean, it is by far and away their most successful and profitable vehicle. No two ways about it. Absolutely. And if you look at, it's amazing how the new car market is shifting. The concept of a car is just disappearing as it's taken over by SUVs. So, you know, things like the Mondeo dropping away, the Escort then became the Focus dropped away. And, you know, things like the Fiesta and the Focus, they're like trace their lineage all the way back to God knows when. So much nostalgia and you know, quality in there. And just nobody wanted them. They just wanted to buy SUVs instead. So car companies are just reorienting themselves away from cars into SUVs, because the average buyer now goes, oh, what sort of front-wheel drive SUV can I buy? Not what sort of car can I buy? And probably the only real true cars left after a while are going to be actual sports cars, and just be sports cars, SUVs, and four-wheel drives.
It is interesting to see that trend towards those vehicles. My question is always how many people, because many of them can go off-road in some degree, how many people buy them with the dream of going off-road, and then how many people actually take them off-road?
No, well, you see, I do not subscribe to the view at all that people buy SUVs dreaming about going off-road. I mean, because I advise a lot of people about cars, and you know, people come to me, and a friend of mine, she was going, oh, I just want to buy an SUV. Okay, why do you want an SUV as opposed to a car? I just like the looks of it. I like the fact it's a bit higher up. I feel a bit safe on the freeway with it. She has got no intention at all of going off-road. And you cannot tell me that people who buy something like a Tiguan or a RAV4 have done that, so people look at them and think, oh, they're big and tough, they must be going off-road. No way. Absolutely no way. Because you look at those cars and everyone knows that they're not for off-road. Everybody knows that. And you're telling me that a lot of women buy these things. Like the women are just dreaming of tricking out the cars with a lot of gear and going off them. Nah, not. It's not why people buy them. People buy them because there's no real downside compared to a car. They handle well, they're fuel efficient, and they're safe. But they're also a bit higher up, easier to get into, easier to see out of, and certainly easier to put kids in and out because they're a bit taller there, and everything else. So they're just more practical.
I think there is a certain element, and Jeep having the Wrangler, I think, is a really good example of the halo effect of selling that dream of going off-road and then, you know, trying to put people into one of the other Jeeps instead. But that's obviously, you know, they're the only brand really in that sort of space. But I know a few people I speak to, they say, oh, you know, it'd be great to go, we'll be able to go where we want to go, and they end up going nowhere or to the local.
Yeah, there's always going to be people that, you know, but look, I think that it's a myth that people buy four-wheel drives and then constantly dream about going off-road. So SUVs, I think that's just an absolute myth. And many people buy four-wheel drives and don't want to go off-road, and they buy them because they're big, they're, you know, got 7 seats, or they want to tow. Now, I will say one thing, which is that people movers should sell a lot more than they do. But a lot of people buy four-wheel drives because they can't bring themselves to buy a people mover because they've got such a dead set prejudice against it. And if they've got to move 7 or 8 people, they buy a four-wheel drive to do it, even though a people mover would be a much better job. Now, that is absolutely a prejudice which exists.
Mm. So if you were buying a new car now, a new four-wheel drive, what would you buy?
Well, I'm actually looking at that turning over a Ranger for next year, and I'm actually looking at the D-Max SX, which, journalists aren't paid a lot, can't afford lots of money. Hard to make money. Probably a whole other thing is the state of automotive journalism and how we can be objective. Anyway, probably save that one for another time.
Yeah.
So, looking at a D-Max SX there, because I do like the Isuzus that I've tested and driven. I'm not sophisticated, but I don't need the car to be sophisticated. I'm looking at the SX model because I don't need anything else beyond it. I just need it to have an automatic transmission, Bluetooth, and central locking, and that's about it. Yeah, keyless would be nice. Don't really need it. Don't need heated seats. Don't need power seats. Don't need any of that stuff. It's got cruise control. Got power windows. So, with all of that stuff, it's fine. I've looked at the models beyond the SX, and for me, they're just adding extra stuff I don't need for more money and adding weight. So probably stick with the base model.
Interesting. So one thing I've noticed, Robert, is that there's been a bit of a trend for manufacturers to, rather than design a vehicle specifically around a niche market, they're coming out with modified vehicles. Do you know much about that?
Yeah, so basically the car makers have looked at the four-wheel drive market and gone, yeah, you know what, people are just buying these cars and spending 10, 15, 20, 30K on accessories. Let's get into that, and why don't we offer them from the factory, one with a whole bunch of stuff bolted on. So there's a few different examples of that. We've got the Ford Ranger Raptor, and now obviously the recent FX4 Sport, I think it was. So Ford have actually got two in that market there. Before Holden went bust, they had a couple of versions. They had an HSV Colorado and Sport Cat Colorado. Toyota have got the Rugged X, and Nissan have got the Warrior. Now, they're actually in two different classes straight away. So out of that lot, the only one which is fundamentally engineered to be a different vehicle is the Ranger Raptor. Everything else is just bolt-on, i.e. they've taken the standard vehicle and added stuff into it, whereas with the Ranger Raptor, that's fundamentally redesigned. Not completely, but, strengthened chassis, new control arms, leaf spring to coil spring, etc. Really major changes there. So the Raptor kind of stands alone compared to the other vehicles. Now, the two Holdens are no longer available, so we can kind of remove them from the consideration. It leaves us with the Rugged X and from Toyota, based on the Hilux, and the Warrior based on the Nissan Navara MP300. Now, in both of those cases, it's adding on extra accessories and then hiking up the price and selling it. Now, the base advantage of doing that is that all of those accessories come from the dealer, warranted and agreed, and there's not going to be any drama there. So that's why you do it. And obviously you don't need to go and take it to ARB or TGM and then do your own research. You just tick a box and there is the car. The disadvantage of that is that the accessories may not be what you want, and they also may not be suitable for your particular application. And also the quality accessories may be a problem as well. So you may be spending money on accessories which are given to you that you don't actually need. Now, if we look at these two cars here, what Toyota have done with the Rugged X is they've put a bull bar on it, they've put recovery points front and rear, they've put rock sliders on the side there, and added a snorkel and a few other things there. And the total price for that comes out to pretty much what you would pay for for that stuff aftermarket. Oh, and they put a tow bar as well and wiring for that, and a light bar. That's actually quite good value as far as the Toyota is concerned there. And also, a lot of those things are stuff you'd want to tick the box on anyway. Everyone needs recovery points. Well, Toyota put 4 on the car, 2 front, 2 rear. You want a snorkel, it's there, right? The bull bar is actually winch compatible, so you can actually fit a winch to it if you want. So I think Toyota have done a good job because the choices they've made are great. They haven't touched the suspension or the tyres, and I think that's actually a really smart move because those are the two things which are pretty personal. People tend not to be that fussed about what snorkel they have or the side rails. So that's good. Now, the Warrior, on the other hand, is a different adder. So what they've done there is Nissan has handed the car over to Pencar, who are racing car development people, and I don't think they've made some very good choices, to be honest. They've put a very small suspension lift in, only 15 mil, so most people reckon they're thinking go higher than that, so you're probably below par to begin with. The tyre choice is good, 32-inch Cooper all-terrains, but again, what if you wanted mud terrains? Or for whatever reason you didn't like Cooper. It's a really personal thing, tyre choice. You don't want to pay money for something and have to go swap it out. It's got a bull bar, but it's not winch compatible, nor can you easily add driving lights and things like that to it. It looks good, but practicality-wise, not great. The tow bar, they've actually dropped the tow bar down as opposed to use a drop hitch, which is crazy. So the departure angle is actually pretty cool. They haven't fitted recovery points to it. The side steps are just the plain old alloy ones, which is a bit rubbish. And when I had one on test and I put the thing over a weighbridge, the front axle load was within 60 kilograms of its maximum. And the amount they want extra over standard STX is too much, in my view, for what they've done to the car. So I don't recommend a Warrior for those reasons, but if you are looking at a kitted out Hilux, I would certainly take a look at the Rugged X.
It seems like the Warrior has been designed by people who don't go four-wheel driving. Would that be fair?
I can't see any evidence that four-wheel drivers were involved in this, because if they were, I'm sure someone would have looked at that tow bar and go, let's not literally drop the tow bar down. Let's leave it higher than normal, perhaps, and use a drop hitch, which is exactly what Ford did with the Ranger Raptor. And I think they were going to say, out of all the engineering changes we could make to a four-wheel drive vehicle, why don't we start with recovery points? Hey, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do that. And it would even look tough in the marketing photo, guys, because then you could paint them red there. And then someone else would have said, you know what is it that every single novice four-wheel driver is told on their basic training course? The instructor points at the side steps and goes, you can take them off now or bash them off in the bush on your first trip. Oh, yeah, so why don't we take them off and put some proper ones on? I just find it hard to believe that anybody with any four-wheel driving background was involved in that thing.
I'm trying to find a photo of it from the front, but yeah, a winch,
it looks great.
A bull bar that,
yeah.
Well, actually, no, yeah. So you can't put a winch to it. That's...
No. Well, no, you can't, because look, the thing is that bar puts the vehicle within 60 kilograms of its front axle load limit with nobody in the car. You put two people on it and a winch, it's going to be over. And remember that because the winch is ahead of the front axle, its load on the front, the weight added to the front axle is more than the weight of the winch.
Yeah.
So it actually reduced correspondingly on the back axle. So no, I just can't believe anybody with any full driving experience was involved in the design of that vehicle.
Very bizarre, isn't it? Be interesting to see how many they.
Look, this is what happens all the time, right? It's people who live in marketing departments and whatever else think they understand the full drive market, and they go, "Oh yeah, it's tough," and it does look good. I got to admit, it does look good. It doesn't look functionally good, but it looks, good to look at. And then they market it, and and you could for the money that they want for it, you could take that money and you could build a better one aftermarket easily. And the only so there's two things in its favour. One is the fact it comes from the factory with a 5-year warranty, so all the mods are just warranted. Secondly, they have recalibrated the electronics to account for the taller tyres, etc., and they calibrated the speedo. That said, that's not really a problem with that diameter of tyres and modern cars and modern electronics, because it's a closed-loop system anyway. So, I really can't see that being a major advantage. The fact that electronics are recalibrated, and they probably have dealt with the equivalent aftermarket mods well anyway.
Yeah, if you're looking for something that was a bit modded, a bit tricked up, but not having to do it yourself, the Rugged X definitely sounds like the way to go. Do you hear much about the Tundra? Plans for that to come out here?
Yeah, look, it's kind of a bit perplexing to me that people like Toyota haven't brought the Tundra over here because there's a big market for that. So I mean, just look at Ram are doing really well, and so they should, because they're producing some good vehicles over here. Yeah, I'd love to see the Tundra come out of here and just offer a bigger ute capacity. It's kind of like, imagine a 200 series that built into a ute. That's kind of what the Tundra is. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm a bit mystified as to why those vehicles aren't here.
I haven't got figures on how many Ram sold, but Ram sold more pickups in August than Mini sold hatchbacks.
Yeah, not surprised. And you know what? They're selling it, even though they have to take a left-hand drive vehicle and then expensively convert it to right-hand drive. So I would argue that there's probably, I mean, if Ram can do that at a profit, surely other manufacturers can do it as well, and then just produce a right-hand drive version and sell it in other right-hand drive countries. The UK wouldn't be a massive market for big American utes, but South Africa would surely love it as well. We'd probably get some sales in the UK. So, yeah, come on, Tom. I'll do it. Either that or we just convert Australia to left-hand drive. There's an idea.
That may be slightly more problematic.
It's been done before.
Has it?
Yeah. Several countries have converted from right-hand drive to left-hand drive. And, you know, you drive from the UK to the continent back again. And, yeah, it would be crazy. And, you know, it's interesting, when that conversion happens, you'd think that crashes go through the roof, but they don't, because everyone's just so scared to drive anywhere or do anything. Now everyone's just really careful, and crashes actually went down. Interesting.
I mean, because the Tundra looks awesome. I would have thought there would be a strong market out here for a Tundra.
Well, I think Ram has proved that.
Yeah.
And I really like the Ram truck. They're expensive, but, you know, they kind of have to be because of the conversion work that goes on in the small volumes. But if you want to tow a trailer 3 tons and a buck, go buy yourself a Ram or something equivalent like that, and don't attempt to tow it with a 200 series. I can tell you that from having done back-to-back tests. Those big American trucks are just awesome. I had one which Howard modified, a Ram 1500 with a supercharger, 0 to 100 in about 5 seconds, 5.2. Tested it out. It was like, well, just when that was run 35-inch mud tyres. You know, I wouldn't want to take it into, I don't think it's particularly great off-road as a tour. I think it's too big and too long, and, you know, the off-road performance isn't outstanding. We should get the Power Wagon over here. That would be good for that. But, yeah, as a tow car.
I was going to ask you what it'd be like off-road, because, yeah, they are a big beast. 5 seconds sounds like fun, though.
Yeah. I mean, just basically held it there with my left foot on the brake, brought the revs up, jumped off the brake, boof, bang. You know, the problem is in the wet is just putting the power down, because it's only part-time four-wheel drive. So you've really got to steady that throttle, particularly with those 35-inch muds on there. So, yeah, it'd be nice if some more of these utes were all-wheel drive, to be honest. But good on Mitsubishi for making the Triton all-wheel drive. The rest of them need to follow. And whilst they're at it, can we please ditch those leaf spoons and add disc brakes on the back? That would be so nice. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Robert. Some really good insights into some of the new vehicles that are on the market now. It is interesting times. I'm going to wait and see. I don't think the Grenadier, obviously, depending on how we go with COVID, the Grenadier I don't think is going to be too far off in Australia. Maybe next year.
Yeah.
So, but my only concern is it might be fairly pricey, but that looks really quite nice.
Yeah, look, I think that would be pretty amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. More information will come out, and I'll you know, as and when it comes out, follow me on Facebook and at MotoFomo, and yeah, you'll be first to see it.
Excellent. Yeah, well, I'll include some links for Robert's excellent automotive journalism work. Thanks a lot, Robert.
Thanks so much indeed.
Once again, a big thank you to Robert. Great for him to come onto the podcast and share some of his insights into the new vehicles that are coming out onto the market. If there's anything that you'd like us to cover on the podcast, please let us know. Many of the great ideas for the podcast that we've been doing. Or is there anyone out there that you'd like to hear us interview? You know, I'm keen to hear from, get a few more podcast guests on, you know, sort of mix it up a bit, talk about a few interesting things, whether it's vehicles, places. Keen to talk about some of the great places. Got to tell you, I think it's going to be a while before anyone's traveling internationally. So big opportunity for us to all go out and do a little bit of exploring. You know what? COVID has financially affected so many people in Australia. I think there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be looking to get out and have some time away, some peace and quiet, and be doing it in a relatively cheap way. We all know how much that camping gear costs. So if there's some people out there that you'd like us to interview, hit us up on the forum, 4x4earth.com, Australia's largest free and independent four-wheel drive website. That we've got a little area where you can discuss about the podcast stories. If you've got any ideas, let us know. Failing that, you can message me, Patriot, on the forum. Apart from that, hopefully one day soon, I'll be able to see you out on the tracks. And yeah, stay safe. Bye.
4x4earth.com is used by over 200,000 people every month to find great tracks, organise trips, and find out how to better enjoy exploring the great outdoors. There's over 1,000 tracks and 300 campsites ready for you to explore. So check out 4x4earth.com today and sign up to get access to the track information, ask questions, and meet other 4x4 Earthers. Membership is completely free. If you're looking for a good route, check out 4x4earth.com today.